Have you ever thought to yourself, am I really saved? Am I really born again? Will I make it to heaven? What do you mean, I have to be born again? Well, if you've been thinking about what it means to be born again, you have tuned in to the right channel.
Welcome to Vi.of.Salvington Ministries. Let's go!
You must be born again. Here we have a wealthy, elderly, Jewish Sanhedrin known by the name of Nicodemus. Nicodemus was a wealthy, healthy Jewish Sanhedrin. He was one of the rulers, one of the members of the rulers of the Jewish people, one of the scribes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, And those people were pretty much against what Emmanuel, what you call Jesus, who was known as Emmanuel back then. Those people were pretty much against what Isu, Emmanuel, or you could say Christ Michael of Nebadon stood for. They were against it. And now you have this scribe named Nicodemus. He's interested, but he didn't want the other scribes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees to find out that he's actually listening to what Emmanuel is saying. So he secretly arranged a meeting to meet up with Isu, Emmanuel, Christ Michael, so he came and approached him in private and wanted to learn privately about the coming kingdom. So he wanted to know about this coming kingdom that is supposed to come. That was, mind you, that was 2,000 years ago. All right, he was preaching about the coming kingdom, and Nicodemus wanted to know about the coming kingdom and how he himself can leave the so-called authoritative religious section, the religion of authority, how he can leave religions of authority in the secular world, and how he can enter this new upcoming kingdom of heaven. So what do you mean I have to be born again? What do you mean? I'm old. I'm already to Nicodemus. He said, "Verily, verily, I say to you, Nicodemus, except a man be born from above, he cannot see the kingdom of God." Except a man be born from above, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Let's break that down before we go any further. Let's break it down, break it down, break it down. Okay? He said, "Verily, verily, I say to you, Nicodemus, except a man be born from above, he cannot see the kingdom of God." Be born from above. You have to be born from above. What's above? The cosmos. God is above. So he's telling Nicodemus, you have to be born of God. Right now, you was born of men. You were born of men. That's why you have this physical body. That's why you in this physical realm. Okay, now you trying to enter the spiritual kingdom of God, which he said 2,000 years ago, which was supposed to come. So in order for you to enter that spiritual kingdom of God, you have to be born of God. You have to be born from above. You understand me? You feeling it? And then Nicodemus replied, "But how can a man be born again when he's old? How can he cannot enter a second time into his mother's womb to be born?" Now Nicodemus is an old dude, but now Nicodemus is pretty much saying that, well, I'm already old. How can I be born again when I'm already old? I cannot go back into my mother's womb and then come back out. But he was talking about some fleshly stuff, some 3D, third dimension. So Jesus said, all right, I'm just going to ignore that. Nevertheless, I declare to you, except a man be born of the Spirit. So now he got more specific. Except a man be born of the Spirit, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. That which is born of flesh is flesh, Nicodemus. You talking about fleshy stuff. That which is born of flesh is flesh. And that which is born of the spirit is spirit. Because I'm talking about spiritual stuff. I'm talking about being born from above. That's spiritual. You're talking about fleshy stuff. So pretty much Emmanuel is telling Nicodemus that he has to become a spiritual kid, a spiritual baby. He has to become a spiritual baby. He has to be reborn. Now he's in the flesh. Now he's in the flesh, okay? Now his next step to enter the spiritual family of God is for him to become a spiritual baby. Interesting. Okay, so that which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of spirit is spirit. And Nicodemus, you a scribe, you should not marvel that I said you must be born from above. When the wind blows, here's a perfect example. When the wind blows, when the wind blows, you hear it. You hear the rustle of the leaves, but you do not see the wind. You see? Did you see that? Did you see that? No, you didn't see that, but you heard it. It's the same way. It's the same way with the spirit. Let me keep going. You do not see the wind, where it comes from or where it's going. So it is with everyone born of the Spirit. Okay, so it says you cannot see it when it comes, you cannot see it where it goes. So it is with everyone who are born of the Spirit. This is not a fleshly thing, this is a spiritual thing. With the eyes of the flesh, you cannot behold. No. With the eyes of the flesh, you can behold the manifestation of the Spirit. Just like with the eyes of the flesh, you can see the effects of the wind with the leaves. Like the rustle of the leaves, you can see the effects of the wind. When the wind blows, you see the leaves rustles. You see the effects of the wind, but you do not see the wind. Okay? So, with the eyes of the flesh, you can behold the manifestation of the Spirit. The manifestation of the Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit, the characteristic traits of the Spirit. So Nicodemus said, okay, alright. So how can I begin to lay hold upon the Spirit, which is to remake me in preparation for entering into the kingdom of God? Very, very good question, Nicodemus. Good job. Great question. I don't have much time, but how can I begin to lay hold upon the Spirit, which is to remake me in preparation for entering the kingdom of God? So, Isu Emmanuel, Jesus Christ of Nebadon, Christ Michael of Nebadon, who is known as Jesus Christ, entered and said, already does the Spirit of the Father in heaven indwell you. Jesus said, already does the Spirit of the Father in heaven indwell you. If you would be led by the Spirit from above, very soon would you begin to see with the eyes of the Spirit. If you would be led by the Spirit from above, meaning that if you follow the leading of that divine Spirit, that divine Spirit will lead you. If you follow, you know how on Instagram people following celebrities, people following them, celebrities got millions and millions of followers. You over here following celebrities. How about you follow your own spirit for a change? You know how much good that could do for you? Follow your spirit. That's what your spirit wants. Your spirit loves you. Your spirit cares about you. Your spirit is your ticket into the fifth dimension. Your spirit is your ticket into eternity. And your spirit is your ticket into heaven. Your spirit is your ticket for life eternal. And you need to follow your spirit. Follow your divine spirit that God has indwelled you with. Follow the divine by your whole harder choice of spirit guidance would you be born of the Spirit, since your only purpose in living would be to do your Father's will, would be to do the will of your Father who is in heaven. Your only purpose in living, your only, you know how you're like, oh, what is my purpose? Now, once you are born of the Spirit, you have found your new purpose. It's like a new life. New life, new everything. New mindset, new feelings, new smell, new everything. New orientation. You have been newly orientated to the universe now. You have climbed up to the level of a spiritual child of God. Alright? Because it will be you're doing the will of your Father in heaven as a child of the kingdom would be your only purpose. And that's just that simple. You ain't gotta worry about keeping 100 million laws. Just focus on doing the will of God.
I am cutting it short from here. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button and the notification button so that you can receive the next series of teachings, because we are about to get into some real stuff. Let's go!